Howdy, welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be going over something a little bit different. It's this amazing bearing packer. So this is the Lisle 34550 bearing packer, and it is only $27 right now on Amazon. Link in the description below. This is not an affiliate link. I don't have an affiliate program, so it's just a straight link to the tool itself. I wanted to bring this to you guys because for years and years and years, I have been doing the old-fashioned way of packing where you put a dollop of grease in the palm of your hand and you take the bearing and you work it around and you slowly push the grease up through it. That is a tedious system to do. It works, and in a pinch, I know how to do it, and I would recommend everybody learning the skill to do that so that if you're ever stuck on the side of the road and you have to do it in a pinch, you know how to do it. However, this tool takes that and throws it completely out the window, and it's only $27. What a steal, because this thing is absolutely amazing. So the way that this tool works is very simple. First of all, I've already used it, as you can tell. I just got through doing 8 spindles on 2 different trailers, and I have absolutely fallen in love with this tool. So we simply pull the dust cap off, and then we pull off the plunger, and then down inside you're going to find this white cradle. There's a bunch of holes that are down on this piece, and as you're pushing, it actually pushes up through these, push up through the bearings, and then you have your bearing greased. Now, how do you fill these little boogers up? Well, first of all, this plunger comes completely out, and then you can take either a tube of grease or you can take a bucket of grease and pump it in here. And there's also this nifty little Zerk fitting right on top, where if you have something like this amazing Ryobi grease gun, you can actually have it simply pump this entire reservoir down here full of an entire tube of grease. Now, one thing I would definitely recommend is whenever you do choose a grease, you stick with that grease. I personally like Mystic for years. My only problem is Mystic is only available at one store in my area. So what I have chosen to do now is I have now changed to these Valvoline Reds, and these are really good for wheel bearing. One thing you don't want to do is mix different kinds of grease. They recommend that you stick with one. So in here is a round container of this grease that I just took a putty knife and plopped in here, and then in the grease gun, I have these. So on my trailer, I'm actually replacing the bearings here, and you can hear just how crunchy that bearing is. Bearings are not supposed to be that crunchy. You can see that the grease just looks atrocious on it, and there's actually mixtures of grease in here. It's got a red grease and a brown grease, plus it was actually rusting the bearings out. So I'm not going to be reusing these. However, I am going to clean them so I can show you how the bearing packer actually works. So the first thing we want to do is take a paper towel and rub off as much grease as we can possibly get off.
Beat the devil out of it.
All right, so that's about as good as we're going to get it with a paper towel. So now we're just going to take our sprays, and there's 2 different kinds. You have the non-chlorinated, and then you have the chlorinated stuff. For final clean, I don't mind the non-chlorinated, but to get the initial bulk of this stuff off, I actually really prefer the chlorinated stuff. It just, to me, seems to do a better job. So that one is relatively clean. I'm not gonna go super clean on it right now, simply because I'm not gonna reuse this bearing. Okay, so now our race is clean and our bearing is clean. So now let's go and throw this inside the bearing greaser so you can see how that works. So now that we have our bearing clean, which you just got through watching, we actually are going to take our bearing and we're going to grease it up with the system. So once again, we pull out the plunger and set it aside, and then you can see on these roller bearings, we have a taper to it. The taper, you want to put the skinny part down on the system. So we're gonna drop it down in here. Now, you might worry that you have to get it perfectly centered. You don't have to, because this cone actually will center the bearing for you. So once the bearing is down in there, we take our adapter and we're going to push it down. Now let's carry this outside. So we're gonna put our plunger in and we're gonna push down, and see that grease coming up through there? Now, that quick and simple.
That was fast.
Our bearing is completely packed. Everything is done with this bearing. There's literally nothing else to do now. We simply pull out the bearing.
Wow.
And it's complete.
we now put it within the race and put it on the vehicle.
So it's really that simple. We now have a completely packed bearing, and we can simply drop that back into the race, and now we can spin it, and I can feel the difference. Y'all aren't going to be able to, but I can actually feel the difference with this particular bearing. Okay, so we went ahead and got that bearing thrown away. Now, for those of you who are new to working on things like this, there is a little trick with your gloves.
Pay attention! Pay attention!
Not get all that garbage on it. I actually learned this from a doctor. I used to work in the marketing department of a hospital a long time ago. But what you do is you take the base of one of the gloves and you pull your hand out of the glove. Then we take our other hand and do the same thing. We pull it down here, and we now actually hold on to the other glove, and we encapsulate the entire thing. Now you can see I'm a sweaty boy. My hands sweat profusely in these things, but it's completely encapsulated. Nothing now is going to get you dirty, and you can simply handle this like standard trash. So this Lisle greaser is an absolute game changer as far as I'm concerned. Yes, you can do it the old school way, and if that's the way you choose to continue to do your bearing packing, more power to you. I don't blame you at all, but I got to the point where I was spending about 5 seconds packing an entire bearing. 5 seconds. Dude, if you do this stuff in the industry, if your job is going around and doing these kinds of things, this will absolutely save you your time, money, and energy. Because packing a bearing, even if you're really quick at it, you might be able to get it down for smaller bearings to like a minute or something along those lines, but to get it fully covered, if you're rushing through it to get everything exactly right or to get it just good enough, this will actually get it right and make it to where it's stupidly quick for you. So if you have any questions about tools like this, about this specific one, if you have any questions about any of the tools that are behind me, please leave it down in the comment below. Again, I have the link for this in the description. It goes straight to the tool. It's not an affiliate program. I have actually done a review of this nifty, amazing Ryobi grease gun. Absolutely wonderful. I highly recommend this thing. It is great. Please check out that review. If you do leave comments, I always try to highlight some amazing ones like this one. That's really nice. That's amazing. Thank you very much for those types of compliments. That really warms my heart and makes me happy to hear that it's actually doing a positive impact out there. Thanks for watching.